What is design thinking? In simple words, it's a problem solving approach where the focus is on the user of the system. Well, one may ask what's the difference in this approach and the previous approaches to software development? After all, the user was always there at the center. It is by understanding the user's need we design the commercial applications. So we can put it in this way that the difference is in the structure that we have given to that thinking process. Otherwise, in one way or the other, design thinking was always an integral part of the software development. But now, with the introduction of design thinking as a discipline, we have structured that whole thing into a process that involves a series of steps and brings more clarity among the stakeholders. It is an iterative process which begins with understanding the user, defining the problem, ideating, prototyping, and testing those ideas to arrive at a solution that is both feasible and meets the needs of the user. So, what are the steps in this process? Let's see. The first is empathize. You need to begin with understanding the needs, motivations, and experiences of the end user through observation, research, and interaction. So, empathizing with the user is the first and the most crucial step. The next is define. Once you have observed, researched, and interacted with the user, then you define the problem, identifying the key user needs that needs to be addressed. Or we can say it's about defining the problem statement and the scope of the project. After that, you move towards ideating, generating a wide range of ideas and potential solutions through brainstorming and other ideation techniques. Once that is done, you move to prototyping. You create the prototypes or mock ups of potential solutions to test and refine the ideas. And then you naturally test the prototypes to gather the feedback from the users. And based on that feedback, you iterate on the design and refine the prototype accordingly. The goal of design thinking is to arrive at a solution that is both useful and usable, that is meeting the needs of the end user while also being feasible and desirable from a business perspective. And as a process, design thinking encourages collaboration and creativity among the stakeholders, and it can be applied to a wide range of problem domains, from product design to service design and beyond. In the book Design Thinking, Understand, Improve, Apply, Christoph Manel and Larry Leffel propose four universal principles of design. These principles apply to software architecture as well as to detailed program design. So, the first one is the human rule that says all design is social in nature. So, what's the meaning of this first principle? Design is an inherently human focused endeavor. We design software for people, we design software with people. Every design decision in the architecture helps individuals in some way. Every design decision must be understood by and shared with other humans. It is important to note that as we design a software system, we will collaborate with the other humans on our team and show them respect by listening, assuming positive intent, and using human centered design methods. So, this principle reminds us that architects are not separated from our teams. We work directly with them to design the architecture together. And building software is a social activity itself that involves human interactions and that deals with human behavioral aspects at every level of the process. The next is the ambiguity rule or preserve ambiguity. So, what does that mean? As we know that ambiguity or lack of clarity about design is not a good sign. Once we have made a design decision, we must share it with precision and clarity. Allowing requirements, design decisions, and commitments to remain ambiguous often destroys a project. But before we solidify a design decision, we can use ambiguity to keep options open. In Less is More with Minimalist Architecture book, Ruth Malan and Dana suggest that architects design a minimalist architecture. A minimalist architecture only shows how high priority quality attributes are achieved and reduces risk for promoting those quality attributes. All other design decisions are left open for downstream designers to determine. So, the rationale behind this principle is that making an architectural decision that cannot be easily reversed is a big deal. So, one strategy for avoiding dead ends and wrong turns is to defer making binding decisions for as long as responsible. Delaying design decisions until they must be decided creates time for research and exploration, and that is why we called it preserve ambiguity rule. And this preserving ambiguity principle help us to deliver software even in a highly volatile, fast changing environment because we have intentionally left our options open for any kind of change in the future. So the next principle is redesign rule that says all design is redesign. The redesign rule encourages us to think about what we already know by exploring patterns and past designs. It's about using the past experiences as a template in the new design. That template can be yours, your own template, or can be of others. Maybe someone built a framework designed to solve your exact problem. So, when designing software architecture, we will spend more time refining existing designs than we will be creating the new ones. And the last design principle is tangibility rule that says make ideas tangible or make the architecture tangible. While the structures in the architecture can exist in code, this does not make the architecture any more tangible. If we want to share an architecture with others, then we need to make it real. And there are many ways to make architecture tangible. Draw it, make it come alive in the code you write, build prototypes that let people experience structures and quality attributes, create simple models that show how some part of the architecture works, create relatable metaphors, act out parts of the control flow of the system. So, this tangibility rule is closely related to the human rule. Human must be able to relate to the ideas, to internalize them. So, the only way to share an architecture is to make it tangible. So, these are the four principles which Michael Keeling in his book, Design It from Programmer to Software Architect, collected with an acronym called HART, HART, and elaborated them more effectively. And these principles often guide our design decisions while architecting and designing a software. For more detail, you can explore this book, Design It from Programmer to Software Architect, authored by Michael Keeling.